day in the life of a reseller vlog. Today is Sunday, July 28th. Welcome to Sunday, the first day of the new week, if you count Sunday as the first day. Here we count Monday as the first day, but if you want to count Sunday, I'll let you. This morning I got my new vlog published to the channel. We're starting on the Sunday vlog today, a day in the life of a reseller. Today I thought we'd try something new. I did a video recently about 5 small things that sell well on eBay. It was well received on YouTube, so I thought I would do a follow-up and maybe take a look at another 5 items that sell pretty well online. I do have a small section in my store, and we post them up in these little envelopes. So here's a quick look at that section. As you can see, everything is individually packed, pre-packaged in the envelope with the inventory number on it and everything. So I've been building that small section for the last year. I've been putting all kinds of smalls in it, and I thought I would suggest a few more smalls that maybe you could add to your store should you decide you want to start an eBay store. A lot of people don't have a lot of room for inventory, so they want to list items that are small. So we got a list. Let me give you a look at the last 5 that we talked about. The last 5 we talked about were Blu-rays, video games, belt buckles, patches, and pins. Today we're going to discuss jewelry, metals, matchbox cars, action figures, and buttons. For those of you who are new to the channel, let me introduce myself. My name is Brian Kingsbury. I'm a full-time reseller. I've been doing it for about 25 years. I've got 2 eBay stores, over 6,000 items listed, and this channel kind of details the ins and outs of the business. I show you what we are listing, I show you what is sold, and of course I show you what I'm buying and trying to flip for big money. And we're going to talk about some of the big money you can make off of the small section. Although it's small, you can make a decent amount of money on these small items. So let's take a look at the first category. The first category I mentioned was jewelry, and not just jewelry. We're going to talk about more specifically, we're going to talk about brooches. I had a lot of luck listing vintage brooches. I got a jewelry lot and was selling those vintage brooches pretty regularly. Listed them all up and they sell quite well. So we're going to look into that category of the jewelry niche, vintage brooches. Let's take a look and see what some of these big money brooches are selling for. So when you search eBay by keywords vintage brooch, it shows that there's 650,000 that are listed, and in the last 90 days 94,000 have sold. So quite a bit of sales in the last 90 days for vintage brooch. So there is quite a market for it. If we look at some that have sold recently, here's one, a rare vintage genie white enamel horse brooch, best offer of $90.56. There's another one that sold July 24th. It says awesome vintage lion brooch, large shoulder pin, 4-inch gold, silver, and metal, $72 for that one. And here's one kind of similar to the ones that I sold. This is a vintage gold tone brooch pendant, Celtic Scottish inspired. So those are just some recent sales, but of course what you all want to know is what is selling for big money, right? Let's take a look at the highest priced items for the keywords vintage brooch. Here it is at the top of the list, antique brooch, bird of paradise, 14 karat gold, 10 karat diamond, Empress Marie Antoinette, $34,985, best offer accepted. Price comes down considerably from that, down to $11,000 for that butterfly. And here's another butterfly for $10,500, best offer. Then we drop under 10 grand. Here's one for an antique Royal Empire brooch, 18 karat gold, 6 karat diamond, award by Empress Marie. 1880s that one is made, sold for $9,692.99. So as you can see, you can make quite a bit of money if you can find the right vintage brooch. Keep your eyes out there for those. You can make some decent money off of them. Now speaking of money, I'm going to show you guys what sold out of the big store, and then we'll get back to the rest of that list. Again, we have 5 smalls that can sell for big money. Up next, we'll be talking about metals. When I'm talking about metals, I mean like war medals. Believe it or not, people will buy veterans war medals, and it's quite a market. It's very interesting. World War I, World War II medals, they sell for good money, and you shouldn't overlook that niche. Of course, my store is primarily a clothing store, although I do have that small section. I'm listing those smalls items into that little category. in the little corner of my office here. Most of my inventory is clothing, and we did have a few clothing sales today. If you've been watching the channel, then you know I've been using a loss leader pricing strategy to list some auctions for just $197. We've had auctions ending all month for $197, kind of drawing people into my store, and sales are definitely up as a result. Let's take a look at the analytics. Here you can see the last month we've had 191 sales, and sales quantity sold is up 24%, so that loss leader pricing strategy is working. And as you can see, listing for $197, that gets you on that front page for a lot of searches here. The top 20 search slot impressions are up 11.7%. There's 116,283. And this morning we woke up to 3 sales. None of them were those loss leader auctions, loss leader pricing auctions. These were more fixed price listings. We got a couple offers and made a few sales overnight. Let me give you guys a look at what sold. There you see we had 3 sales for $45.08. Let's see what sold. First item, I accepted a best offer on this, sold for $13 flat. It's a pair of Hawke's Bay flat front solid khaki tan men's dress shorts, 36-inch waist by a 10-inch inseam. Next item sold for $14.79. Been selling a lot of shorts. This is a pair of Calvin Klein flat front men's solid dress shorts, blue, 40-inch waist by 8.5-inch inseam. And finally, I just sold this hat, sold for $17.29. It's a medium / large New Era as Arizona Diamondbacks black adult baseball hat. It's a fitted hat. So I sold a couple pair of shorts and an Arizona fitted Diamondbacks hat. So a couple pair of shorts and a hat. That summer gear is definitely moving. I'm gonna go grab those items. We'll print some shipping labels, and then we'll talk about some more smalls we can list into the small section, and take a look at some of those higher priced items that are selling on eBay. Alright, through the magic of video, we've located those 3 items. Let's get some labels printed and get them ready for the post office. There are a trio of orders that need labels, and here come those labels fresh off the printer. Let's get them on. Alright, we got a tote about half full. We're going to add 3 more we just packed up. 1, 2, 3. So now that we got those orders packed up, we're going to get back into the list of 5 smalls you can add to a small section in your store. And what we're going to look at next are metals, and more specifically, I think we're going to search World War II metals, right? I was kind of curious about World War II metals, so we're going to do a search on that, see what's out there, see what's selling, and of course see what's selling for big money. That's what we're more interested in. So part of adding these little searches to my day in the life of a reseller vlog is to kind of educate myself, but also help educate you guys on what to look for when you're out there sourcing for new inventory. And maybe you can get into these small sections, start a little small section, and find some of these big money items. So when you search keywords World War II or WW2 metals, it shows that there's 9,600 listed and 3,400 have sold within the last 90 days. So not a bad little sell-through rate. Obviously, you want that number to be a little higher than the demand, the supply and demand. When the demand is greater than the supply, that's the ideal search result you want. But 3,400 sales and 9,600 available, so not a bad sell-through rate for metals, old metals. So we're going to take a look at some of these old World War II metals and see what exactly is selling. So I thought we'd take a look at a few that have just ended recently. It looks like they like to lot these up in groups quite often. Here's a pair of World War II medals, actually 4 of them. British Army Medal Group of 4 for $44.97. Here's another group that sold recently, WW2 5 times medal set, Africa, Burma, Stars Defiance medal, $52.70. Here's a solo medal, Greece Greek WW2 War Cross medal, first class, $44.97. These are all coming from UK, so international sales. Now the medals that I typically find, I've found in storage units, or when I buy a junk drawer lot, sometimes people will throw a medal in there. So those are the ones that I've been listed, and these next 2 kind of look like what I've gotten in the junk drawer lots and in storage units. Let's take a look. So here's typically what I would find in the units. WW2 Army medal campaign, Pacific campaign medal, 4 battle stars, metallic art, $44.99, best offer accepted. So it comes in a little case like that, as you can see, with the metal and the label on it. And here's yet another example of that. This one sold for $29.99, a vintage US Navy World War II American campaign medal in box. So that one has the box as well. Thought I'd show you one more grouping. Here's a group of them sold for $149, one bid. Someone put those up at auction and got one bid for $149. So that's the type of thing you can sell, but what you want to know is what is the most expensive one, right? What is selling for the big bucks? That's what we want to search. Let's search highest to lowest and see what sold the most money. So there were a couple with some additional paperwork and photos and whatnot that sold for $3,000 and up, but here's one that sold just under that at auction for $2,297. A lot of 8 World War II medals, Distinguished Flying Cross, Air Bronze Star Campaign plus. So that's what you get, $2,297 for that batch. And the most expensive individual medal that has sold in the last 90 days is this one right here, an original World War II Order of Lenin USSR Soviet Russian Army military medal badge. Let's take a closer look at this one that sold for $2,200. So here's the type of big money medals that you want to be finding if you're out searching for World War II medals. Keep an eye out for this one, over $2,000, $2,200 to be exact. Let's take a look at it in a little bit more detail. They got quite a few photos here. We'll go through them. There it is. USSR keyword, Soviet Russian Army military medal badge. So they got all the right keywords in this one to get it sold. It is in great condition for being so old. And there's the back of it, as you can see. Someone took really good care of this one. Couple loose threads there, but nothing to really worry about. And says something on the back there. It has a number, 173804, I think is what it said. There's a closer look at it. Yeah, there's back to the first photo. So a nice looking $2,200 medal right there. So if you feel like you're getting some value, you feel like you're learning a little something in this day in the life of a reseller vlog, go ahead and hit that like button, thumbs up on this video. I'm trying to get this in front of a few more eyes, educate a few more people. Let them know I'm doing this daily vlog, day in the life of a reseller vlog. Comes out every day. I've been doing it for the last year or so, and providing a lot of content for you guys to watch. Hoping you guys join the journey as we continue forward. I'm going to go ahead and log into my second store. I'm not sure if I mentioned it earlier, but I do have 2 stores, and the smaller store has just shy of 2,000 items in it. Didn't log into it yesterday, so there might be some action today. It doesn't usually get quite as many sales as the big store, but sometimes it surprises me. So let's go ahead and log into the small store, and then we'll get back into that list once we pack orders in the small store. So just a reminder, next on the list, we're going to search Matchbox cars, and I know that's a popular category for a lot of people. You know, you got the high-end cars, the red line cars, and you got the smaller, cheaper ones that you find at the grocery store for a couple bucks. But all of it can kind of lead to some good profits. I've moved both types, so Matchbox cars are one category not to be overlooked. A great little small section item that you can add to your small section, and it really doesn't take up a lot of space, and it's plentiful, easy to find, easy to list, easy to ship. That's what we're all about with that small section. So let me go to the small store. We're talking about smalls. We'll go to my small store. Let's see what kind of action we had out of my small store today. Alright, before we do that, I just had a little bit of a strange moment happen, a little strange moment. You know, Big Brother is watching. They know what we're up to. You know, we were talking about metals, we're doing searches, and guess what just sold out of my big store? I just sold some metals. Is that weird or what? Let's take a look. Here's the listing that I just sold for $21.94. So maybe eBay is paying attention. They know we're searching this. They know we're promoting these metals, and they're doing me a little solid. They sold a couple of mine. So this is an example of those metals that I got in the junk drawer lots. This is a brand new vintage U.S. Army Vietnam War campaign service medal pendant and ribbon. They say they still have the plastic on them and everything, and they were in the boxes. You can pin them on. There they have the metal set, says exactly what it is, has the number and everything. The boxes did have a little wear, you know, they're old from Vietnam era, but there they are, 2 boxes and 2 medals. I paired them up. Kept them together so that the collector could get both for one low price. So eBay is paying attention. We sold a couple medals. Look at those. Alright, I'll go ahead and pack those up a little bit later, but first let's get in that small store and see what they sold. Alright, just logged in that small store. Looks like we had 3 sales out of the small store as well today. So 3 out of the big and 3 out of the small. Let's go ahead and check out what sold. There you see it, 3 orders for $59.16 out of the small store. $59.16. Let's see what it was. First item sold for $17.25. Who says you can't sell sweaters in the middle of the summer? Here's one that sold, an extra large express gray solid men's cotton v-neck sweater top, long sleeve. Next item sold for $15.05. It's a pair of excursion gray men's athletic shorts, size large, polyester, 34-inch waist by 7.5-inch inseam. And the third item that sold for $26.86. It's a medium Led Zeppelin white polyester spandex short sleeve solid graphic t-shirt. Let me give you a look at this graphic. Pretty cool t-shirt. I remember this one was really soft. There it is, Led Zeppelin in concert, Tampa Stadium from May 5th. I think this is a reprint. There you see it. It's Led Zeppelin Life Clothing Company. So pretty cool little Led Zeppelin tee. So that's definitely one category you can keep an eye out for, concert t-shirts. Even those reproductions like that one was a reprint and still sold for pretty big money for a t-shirt. You know, $26 was it? So we're gonna go grab those 3 items and print some labels, add those to the tote as well, and then we'll get into the rest of that list of 5 smalls you can add to your store. Let's go take a look and grab those items. Alright, there they are, 3 small store orders ready for shipping labels. Let's get them printed. Alright, 3 more small store orders, and here come the labels for them. Let's get these ready. Alright, we got 3 more small store orders, 1, 2, and 3. Alright, we're going to get back into that list of smalls you can add to your store. We're going to search Redline Hot Wheels, Matchbox cars. Redline Hot Wheels is what I'm going to search, but all those Matchbox cars do sell pretty well, but we want to focus on what sells the most. I know that Redline Hot Wheels have a good sell-through rate, and I've never really found any out in the wild. I don't really know much about them and what they actually look like. So we're going to look at them and see what they look like, see what they're selling for these days, see what the sell-through rate is, and hopefully maybe we can find some in the future. So just a little background information. What is a Redline? A Redline Hot Wheels car is one that was manufactured within the first 10 years of production, from 1968 to 1977. The term Redline derives from the fact that during that period the cars were manufactured with a red stripe on the tire. So I did a quick search. Redline Hot Wheels were the keywords I used. It looks like there was 41,000 listed and 27,000 sold in the last 90 days. So pretty good sell-through rate. So let's take a look at some of the Hot Wheels that have sold, these Redline Hot Wheels that have sold recently. Here's one that sold at auction for $30. It's a 69 red Mongoose race car. Below that we have a 1968 Mattel Bronze Classic 32 Ford Vicky Redline. And below that we have, what do we have? Let me scroll up a little bit here so we can take a better look. What do we have here? A purple car. It's a Hot Wheels Redline 1968 purple split-in image car with a metal button, $34 at auction. So obviously those are just the loose Redline Hot Wheels. Obviously they're selling at auction. The demand is there. They're being bid up. There's a bit of a bidding war for some of these, and if you can get them on card, it's even more money. There was one that sold recently here on the list. Let's take a look. There you see it. Then when you get them on the cardboard, still Hot Wheels Redline Dune Buggy on rare special free offer cards, sold at auction for $355. 10 bids on that one. That's coming to you from Canada. So obviously when there's 27,000 that have sold in the last 90 days, there's got to be some big money cars in the batch. Let's go ahead and take a look at the highest price cars. We're going to sort this by highest to lowest and see what sold for the most money. There you see it. The highest price one that sold was this Hot Wheels Redline's Porsche P911 white enamel loose, $13,500. So that kind of money is definitely worthy of a closer look. Let's take a closer look at some of these photos so that maybe we can spot this red line Porsche in the future if we ever see it out in the wild. There you see it, a $13,500 Porsche. You can see the red on the tires there. That makes it a red line, I guess. And it just looks like a basic car to me, but $13,500. Let's take a look at the rest of these photos. There you can see they took multiple photos of this one. They got all the angles. A big fan of Porsche 911s. This is a nice looking one with the blue and orange stripes. They got the red line stripes on the tires. And there's the front end and more pictures. They took all kinds of photos. There's a shot of the top and there's the bottom. You can definitely see it's an older car. They didn't have a date on this. Let's take a look. Yeah, I didn't see a date in the description either, but we're guessing that that was purchased, or made rather, somewhere between 1968 and 1977. That's when the red lines were produced. So let's take a look at some more that sold for big money. So the next three were lots of cars. Here's one, two custom Camaros with cream interior, $12,000. Here's one, again, a vintage Hot Wheels red line lot of 7 for $12,000. And then down here there's another one. This is another lot of custom Camaros with cream interior, $12,000. So a bunch of lots at $12,000. So obviously when an item like that has a pretty good sell-through rate, you might consider buying a lot and piecing it out, you know, listing them individually to make your money, make your profit. You know, if you can get into it cheap enough and buy the entire lot and then list them individually, that's a way that you can source items and really make some money. Let's take a look at these next couple lots. Were huge lots of redline cars. Let's show you. So here's a lot of 71, I think it is. It says amazing vintage Hot Wheels red lines with a case, exceptional original cars, $7,495. Best offer accepted. So you get the case and everything with that one. Here's a look at that collection. Obviously $7,495, a lot of money. They did take a best offer, so it might have been a little bit less than that, but even at that price point, it would be $105.56 per car, which is pretty pricey. So I'm not sure what their best offer is, or if there was any big money cars in this. But as you can see, that Porsche sold for $13,000 by itself. So let's take a look at this. You get the case, you get all these cars. You could list them individually, you know, if there's one in there or two in there that will pay for the lot. And there's definitely some cool cars in there. Look at that. So I see Corvettes, I see El Caminos, all kinds of cool looking red lines. Yeah, definitely a nice collection that some of those could be worth big money listed individually. I'm not really an expert on the pricing of what individual cars go for, but that's why we're searching this, seeing what these red lines look like, seeing what we can keep an eye out for when we're out sourcing for cars. You might see these at a garage sale or a flea market. You never know what you're going to find when you're out there in the wild searching for new inventory. But this is definitely a nice collection. Over $7,000 they paid for this, so they're expected to get a few nice ones, I'd imagine, as well as all the cases. It's kind of a shame if you're going to break up a collection like this, but you know, maybe that's the way to do it if you want to make your money back and make the maximized amount of profit. So under that one was yet another lot. This one is 50 clean vintage Hot Wheels red lines with a case, super rare, 1960 to 1980 Hong Kong. So these are made in Hong Kong. $6,950 for this one. Let's take a look. So as you can see, that comes with the Hot Wheels collector's race case, they call it, and that might have some value in itself. I'm not sure what those go for, but we could search that as well. Not as great photos here, but they laid them all out there so you can get a good look at them. Actually, some of these are a little blurry, but in the darker, but it didn't stop them from selling. $6,950. Definitely an expensive lot of cars. You get 50 in this lot, so some classic red lines. Big money for these cars. Definitely one to be on the lookout for. So hopefully you guys are enjoying this little discussion on smalls you can add to your store. If you are, be sure to like the video, and we're going to get into a few more before we call an end to this. A little search, a little education component as part of this day in the life of a reseller. I do have to get in the photo station and do a little work today, so I'm going to locate some inventory to photograph myself and get some listings up today. But just a reminder, if you want to stick around, we're going to be talking about action figures and buttons as well. Those are the last two on the list of 5 additional smalls you can add to your small section of your store. Action figures and buttons. We'll be a little bit more specific once we get into the search, but first I got to get into the photo station and find some fresh inventory for me to list today. Alright, if you've been watching the channel, then you know I've got a plan. I'm working through this inventory I have in the photo station. I've got 2 stacks set up here that I'm going to be photographing and listing from today. Let me give you a look. There are the 2 stacks I've been working through, hoping to get through this before the end of the month. We'll see how things go, but I pulled 10 today that we're going to take a closer look at and photograph and hopefully get listed tonight. So this first one is a Kufandy extra large, kind of a beige, might be linen. I'll have to check the fabric content, but a nice short sleeved dress shirt. Kufandy is the brand. Under that is another short sleever. This one is an American Eagle Outfitters vintage fit size medium, has the 2 pockets on there. Under that we got a women's shirt. We got a June and Austin size 1, I think, either a large or a 1. I'll have to figure that out. But a little mock turtleneck here. Under that we got another short sleeve dress shirt. I went through the short sleeve section and found some nice ones. Medium short sleeve Big Ben, so these have 2 pockets on it as well. Solid navy blue Big Ben short sleeve dress shirt. Another one, is this one short sleeve too? It looks like, yeah, short sleeve or an old navy kind of pink size medium. Slim fit built-in flex, so that one probably has a little spandex in it as well. Here we got a women's Nike dry fit size medium V-neck t-shirt, purple in color. And then we get into the vest. This was a vest I couldn't pass up on. It looks like they cut the label off here, so I'm not sure exactly of the brand. We'll try to figure it out, see if we can figure it out. But it's just a basic solid black vest, sleeveless vest with a nice zip shut pocket there in the breast. And then we get into the kind of suit vests. I always like to go through the suit vest section and pick them up when I can get them cheap. These I bought for $1.99, so we're definitely going to make some money on these. List these up a decent amount, maybe 10 bucks. Maybe a little nicer for the branded ones. But here's looks to be a black one with kind of a polka dot design on the back part there. And here's a size large Calvin Klein gray one, a gray suit vest. You can wear that with your suit. And finally, we just washed some shorts. This was the last one that came out of the wash. This one may have had the little issues, but washed right out. Burn size 36 cargo shorts, so we'll get those listed as well. So there you have it, 10 items off of the stacks that I'm going to get photographed and hopefully begin listing tonight. We got a lot of space in the big store that we can list some items into, and again I got to pack up a couple more orders that came in. You guys saw those medals. There was one more order that came in while we were talking about those red line cars, so we got a couple more orders waiting to be packed up. We'll grab those medals and that other item that sold, but first I gotta get these clothes photographed. Just had a couple more orders come into the small store, so 2 more orders out of the small store. Let me show you. Sold this one for $26.61, rather $26.61. So that book came from a storage unit I bought in Everett a while back. Listed all the Star Trek books. It had all kinds of Star Trek collectibles and all. I think he had every book that ever written about Star Trek. And some of the high-end books like that do sell for good money. $26.61 for that one. It's the Leonard Nimoy I Am Spock Star Trek Sci-Fi hardcover book from 1995, first edition. The other item sold for $16.16. It's a Hot Topic hooded sweatshirt, adult long sleeve, size medium, cotton polyester blend top. So that was kind of a cool hoodie because it had that tie-dye design. You know, anytime you see tie-dye at the thrift, I usually try to pick it up It's always a popular sale. All right, there they are. We've located the 2 new orders. We got a stack of inventory ready to be listed. I'm going to print a couple shipping labels for those 2 orders, and then we're going to get into, just a reminder, we're going to take another look at a few more smalls. We're going to look at action figures and a specific type of action figures. All right, we got 2 more. We're getting ready for the post office and add them to the tote, and here are the labels for them, fresh off the printer. We're gonna add these soon. All right, we got 1 more for the tote, and 1 and 2 more actually. All right, now that we got those weekend orders packed up, some good orders coming into my store, my small store on Sunday here on the weekend, so glad to see that. But we're going to talk about some more smalls, and more specifically we're going to talk about some action figures. So I know a lot of resellers have been talking lately about selling the needs versus the wants, and this one is definitely more of a want. This is more of an impulse buy, you know, people who are nostalgic, people like me in their 40s who watch the shows and the cartoons growing up. And they see this and they just want to buy it. They want to have it again. They had the toys growing up, and when they see them online, they just have that impulse to buy them and possess them again. And I was guilty of this a little bit. I saw these for sale, some action figures at Penny Lane, downtown Bellingham at Penny Lane. They have action figures for sale there. And I thought, oh, I'd buy these and flip them on eBay. But basically, I just kind of wanted to have them again. Had them as a kid, and what I'm talking about is MOTU. For those of you who don't know, here it is. You see that MOTU, of course, it's Masters of the Universe, and that's what I saw at Penny Lane. Had to pick those up. I've got a few of those in my store. There's a whole crew of characters there, He-Man leading the way. So I did a little research after I bought them, and I priced mine a little bit high, the high end of the market. I've only sold a few. I probably need to lower the prices now, but Masters of the Universe, they do have a pretty decent sell-through rate. Let's take a look and see how many are online, how many are selling, and what they're selling for. So when you search keywords MOTU action figure, it shows that there's 120,000 listed and 38,000 have sold in the last 90 days. So you got to be kind of careful listing these or buying these for resale, because I think, you know, the movie came out recently and they have been reissued. So they have the old ones and then they have the new ones. Obviously the old ones sell for the big money. Those are the desirable ones, the ones that have that time mark on them, that date on them, and the new ones don't sell for as much money. But let's take a look at the recently sold action figures, MOTU action figures. Let's see. Here's a few that just ended recently. Here's a Master of the Universe He-Man Squeeze Snake. So just an accessory. The snake sold for $12.90. Below that, we got a couple guys here. Vintage Grizzler, complete He-Man Masters of the Universe, sold for $7.29. Then we got some of the big money items. This is a vintage MOTU Horde Fright Zone, 100% complete in the box, no broken branches. So apparently the branches break on that one. $399. So that's the kind of money you want. The next 2 are kind of a good example of the difference between the dates. Here's a 2011 Master of the Universe King Hess, sealed new with white box for $39.98. Best offer accepted. Below that we got a loose figure, but he's from 1987 and he sold for $29.99, one bid at auction. But of course you guys all want to know about that big money, right? You guys want to know what's selling for the most money. We're going to take a look highest to lowest. Let's see what's selling for that big money. There is big scores to be had in this Masters of the Universe niche of action figures. So like I said, 38,000 have sold, and let's take a look at this top selling item. It's quite interesting. Here it is for $8,500. Masters of the Universe MOTU Vintage Castle Grayskull, sealed acrylic case, AFA. Let's take a look. So there it is. That's $8,500 right there. The Castle Grayskull, the sealed one, with a case in the acrylic case. Let's see with some more photos. They took multiple photos. As you can see, it's nicely cased in there, so it'll stay pristine condition. Yeah, that one is not gonna have any wear and tear to it like you might find from the early 80s. Not sure the exact date of this one. We'll have to look at the description. It does have a little boxware, and I take it back. A little boxware, but they got it in the acrylic case, so someone was willing to buy it for $8,000 plus. Nice little piece of history right there. Masters of the Universe Castle Grayskull. Fortress of Mystery and Power for He-Man and his foes. So obviously you saw Castle Grayskull being the top item sold, over $8,000, $8,500 to be exact. But that wasn't the action figure we're talking about. The top action figure. You guys have any guesses? You know, you might think He-Man or Skeletor, right? The key characters in this. Nope. Let's take a look. Here it is, fresh out of 1987, a He-Man Motu Scareglow. Series 6, new glowing hybrid. Look at this guy. Scareglow was the character. I don't even remember Scareglow. You guys remember Scareglow? There they have him. I think he's rated an 8 out of 10, something like that, 80 plus. So a lot of times they send these in to be graded now, and I think that's the case with this one. They sent it in its new on card from 1987, and that's why it goes for so much money. $6,999 best offer accepted. So somewhere around that $6,000 for this action figure in the box there. There he is, Scareglow. So you see that guy somewhere in someone's attic? Yeah, we'll definitely want to pick him up and put him online. Make $6,000 for him. Scareglow. There's some other big money items here. This one from '82. It's He-Man with his Wind Raider vehicle, $6,789. One bid at auction. Below that we have one here, $5,500. Masters of the Universe Battle for Inertia gift set, 1982. Panther Evil. You get that evil Panther. That's cool. So here's an interesting one. They call this the Holy Grail. Rare vintage 1986 Mattel Masters of the Universe He-Man Titus. He-Man Titus, $4,000, 35 bids. $4,051 to be exact. Under that we got another one, so there is a demand for this character. You see this one? He-Man Titus, $3,600 at 18 bids for this guy. So I don't know him either, but He-Man Titus is in demand. Look at that. Let's take a better look at He-Man Titus so you don't miss him and you see him at the thrift. There he is, He-Man Titus. He's got his little, what is that? Some sort of weapon. We'll have to take a closer look. There's his face. He looks a little like John Cena. Plastic little shield and his boots, gray boots. There's his weapon. I'm not sure what that is. It looks like some sort of detector. I don't know. Any guesses? I guess I could look it up. What is that weapon that He-Man Titus carries? A little brown weapon. Mattel 1986. So a little bit of nostalgia for you. He-Man Titus. Got the hair flowing. 1986. It even has a little stand. You can put them up, stand them upright. So now that you guys have seen what sells for big money, you're probably wondering, what did you get, Brian? What did you buy at Penny Lane? Let me give you guys a look at what I currently have on inventory in my store. So here's a look at some of the Masters of the Universe that I have online. There you see it, the vintage Battle Cat with the armor, and then we got the one below it here. This is another vintage, this is the Purple Panther, and that one is, we're selling for $99.99. So you saw the cats, but we also have some action figures. This one was worth quite a little bit of money. It's Whiplash, the green action figure with his scepter, from the 1980s, and below him we got Ram Man, classic Ram Man. Then we got Stinkor. Stinkor was missing his weapons, but this guy's got his weapons. This is, who's this guy? This one is Merman. Merman has his sword there. And we got Trapjaw, and below him we got this guy who is Many faces, get it? Many faces, man-e faces. Looks like we got another Whiplash. This guy's missing his sword though, his scepter. And below him we got Vintage Leech. This guy's called Leech. And of course we have this guy, Zodak. And part of the deal, they threw in a vintage She-Ra, Double Trouble. There she is, Double Trouble. And then this was a brand new Masters of the Universe Revelation minifigure. So we got one brand new. So as you can see, I still have 13 items listed, 13 Masters of the Universe figures listed, and 0 have sold within the last 90 days. So maybe I need to lower the prices on some of those, but we'll take a look at those another day. We're gonna get back into sales out of the big store. We did have a couple more orders roll in while we were talking about those Masters of the Universe action figures. It looks like a couple just turned into a few. We had 3 orders for $62.63. Let's see what they were. First one I showed you a little earlier. These medals sold for $21.94. Brand new vintage U.S. Army Vietnam War Campaign Service Medal pendant and ribbon. For $23.24, we sold this extra large REI black women's activewear long sleeve polyester quarter zip polo shirt. And finally, for $17.45, we sold this Aeropostale white woman's hooded vest jacket, sleeveless, size large, zip front. So those Sunday orders keep rolling in, $62 and change for those 3 items. I'm gonna go grab those from inventory. We'll print some labels, add them to the tote, and get them ready to go to the post office. Of course, that last small item we're gonna talk about is buttons. That's right, we're talking about buttons. Alright, there you see it. We got that Aeropostale vest, that REI polo shirt, and of course those 2 vintage Vietnam medals. Interesting, we were just talking about those and they sold, so we'll take it. And here come those printers. Here come those labels, rather, right off the printer, ready for those packages. Alright, I was a little worried, but looks like those orders have come through for us on Sunday. We got 3 more. 1, 2, and we got a full tote. 3 more. Well, those will go out Monday. So as Sunday winds down, I want to thank everybody for watching me to the very end of this video. We're going to take a look at these last category of smalls that you can listen to your store. We looked at 5 different small items today that you can add into your eBay store to add an additional little stream of income. So something to think about. You know, these smalls don't take up a lot of space. They're plentiful to buy, and they're easy to ship and pack, so smalls are kind of the way to go, in my opinion. You know, obviously I run a clothing store, so I have the bulk of my inventory tied up in clothing, but I've added this small section and it's really provided a nice stream of income. So something for you guys to think about if you're a reseller out there. You got a store, you got a corner that you can add a small section into. Go ahead and think about some of these items that we're looking at. And in terms of buttons, we're gonna look at military buttons. We're gonna keep it on the military theme and look at some military buttons that are selling online. Let's go search military buttons and see what we find. So when you search keywords military button, it shows that there's 110,000 listed and 24,000 have sold in the last 90 days. So not a great sell-through rate. The market is kind of saturated, but there are still 24,000 sales of military buttons. So people out there are still buying them. Let's take a look and see what is selling. Alright, so a lot of these results are the clothing with the buttons on them. They use keyword buttons, so they're coming up in part of that 24,000. But here's a nice lot of U.S. Army Navy officer uniform buttons. A lot of 21 sold for $10.50. Now here's another lot of 15 mixed military buttons and pins and wings sold for $10. $10 plus shipping on that one. And here's a little bit of a more specific sale. This is a World War I Imperial German Bavarian Army military officer's uniform brass button, 20 millimeters. So a little brass button there sold for $16.70. That one is coming from the UK. So there's a quick look at 3 recent sales, but you guys are all wondering, what about those big money buttons? Are there any buttons that sell for big bucks? Let's take a look at the highest priced buttons and see what we can find. Alright, so honestly, a lot of these results are clothing with military buttons on them. They are selling for big bucks, so you could browse through that if you're interested in finding about the clothing. But we want to know about the buttons, and we found one here. Sold for what, $775, I think. Let's take a look. So as far as I can tell, this is the most expensive button that's sold in the last 90 days in terms of military buttons. Albemarle Military Institute of Virginia Civil War coat button. So this is a Civil War coat button. Let's take a closer look. There you see a $775. They took a best offer on that one, so they had it priced up. Who knows what it actually sold for, but I'm guessing a significant amount of money. Let's take a closer look. There's another picture. It says AMI underneath it. Does it say cadet up top? Looks like a picture of a guy with a sword. He's got his foot on his chest or something, holding a sword. It's kind of hard to see if you guys can look at that little design, but definitely an old button. And there's a good look at it. Got his foot on him, stomping him out a little bit. It's a little bit of a violent little scene there on that button, AMI. And there's the back of it. You can tell definitely has some age. Little patina on that. Not sure if this is something you would actually put back on a uniform or just have as a shelf piece or what. But there you see it, a little bit of information on it. Found in the camp of the 14th Virginia Infantry, Centerville, Virginia. So Virginia, they found that. Civil War button. There you see it. A little piece of history right there. $775 best offer accepted. So when you talk about buttons, you know, obviously that's one of the items that you can easily buy lots of. You know, do a little online arbitrage. Source online, buy a nice big lot, and just piece them out, list them up one at a time to make your profit. And this next lot was one that sold, came from overseas. It would be a nice little lot to do that with, little online arbitrage. Buy it up, one-time investment, and just list them up individually and make your money back over time. Let me give you a look at it. Here it is. It sold for $591.26. 18 bids sold at auction with shipping on top of that, $45.30 from the UK. So it's coming from overseas. Let's take a look. A military capped badges and insignia and buttons. So you get a little bit of everything with this lot. So as you can see by the pictures here, this is quite a bundle. All kinds of great little badges and pins and buttons. And let's take a look at these photos. So some of these, you know, you'd have to do a little research and determine which ones are actually worth the most money or most desirable. But there's all kinds here. Someone has a great collection that they threw up online and sold to somebody. And who knows how they acquired all these. This is probably a lifetime of collecting here. Or either that or they got Grandpa's old collection and put it online. But somebody spent some serious time finding all these and collecting these over the years. And then we're talking buttons. Look at that. Look at that little sheet of buttons. You know, you consider someone's looking for those buttons to complete a uniform. You know, they'll easily pay $20 for the button. And you're looking at, you know, 20 times, what is that, 12, 14? 20 times 14. That's a significant amount of money right there just on one little piece of cardboard. And looks like you get some sort of, oh, that comes in a case like that. A little sheet behind plastic. So someone spent hours and hours finding all those. Nice little collection sold, coming from Great Britain. So don't overlook these collections. You can definitely make some money if you want to piece these out. You just got to put the time into photographing and listing each one individually. You don't have to do it all overnight. You know, you can do 5 a day and you'll have this on in no time. So it's something definitely to think about. Some of the detail on these, definitely, you know, you get a nice photo of those and individual photos of each one, and people will buy those over time. So what you got to think about is, you know, a lot of these collectors might have a nice uniform, and the value of that uniform goes up significantly if all the buttons are on there. You know, if it's missing a button, you know, obviously when they go to resell it, someone's going to be like, well, it's missing the button, you know, it's not worth as much as this other one that sold that had all the buttons. So you know, they're kind of in a pickle when they have to go online and find that one button from the Civil War era. You know, There's only so many online, and that's why they're paying that $700 or whatever for a button they can put on their uniform, and the uniform goes up to 10 grand versus 8 grand. So this give and take to it all, and there's a buyer out there who probably needs what you have if you have these vintage buttons. And it's not going to be a quick sale. There's not a huge demand for them. The market is kind of saturated with all kinds of buttons online. But if you have the right ones, you buy a nice collection like that and you put that on there, and you have the buttons that people desire or need to complete a uniform. That's where you make your money. So I think we're going to end this button talk with this listing here. Look at this, another example. It's at auction, 29 bids, went up to $394.90, ended a North Carolina Military Institute button. All they had is 2 photos, so in terms of listing, not a lot to be done. Take a couple photos, list it up, try to get the right keywords in there, and wait for the right buyer to come along. In this case, there was plenty of demand for it, and it went up to $394.90. So big money for a little button. Alright, it's a little after 10 o'clock now, so I think I'm going to end this day in the life of a reseller vlog. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this little look into some smalls that you can add to your store. If you like this sort of thing, go ahead and let me know with a comment. Hit that like button and let me know what you liked about it. Let me know if you want to see more of this type of thing. This is kind of a departure from my regular vlog. I usually show you guys what sold, show you what I'm listing, that sort of stuff. But this time I thought we'd add a little educational component. Try to learn a little something about some of these smalls that we can look out for, and maybe make a few bucks off of in 2024 as we move forward. The small section, something to think about. Doesn't take up a lot of space, easy to list, easy to ship, so definitely something to consider. And if you like this little discussion on smalls, go ahead and take a look at my other videos. There's a couple more I've done on smalls that you can add to your store. So some other different ideas on, you don't have to buy in bulk big bunchy items that take a lot of time and effort to pack up and ship. These small ones, they fit in a little envelope, and a little bubble wrap goes a long way, and you can just ship those out quick and easy. You don't have to break your back carrying them to the post office or UPS or whatnot. And smalls are definitely the way to go moving forward, and I would definitely suggest it if you're a newbie and getting into reselling. Think about that small section. You don't need a lot of space, and you can just get it done right there in one room versus my space. I have 3 or 4 rooms full of inventory, moved the business home, and we're operating out of home using the space we have. So it does take up a lot of space to run a clothing store. Obviously, if you're doing smalls, you could get it done in one room. So something to benefit of listing into the smalls section on eBay. And as you can see, the demand is definitely there for some of these items. You just got to know what you're buying and what you're looking for. Don't go out there throwing any old button online hoping to get that $300 to $700. You're going to have to get something special, and you're going to have to do a little searching, and sometimes you can just acquire that online. You don't have to go to thrift stores or garage sales or search through Grandpa's attic. You can just buy it online and relist it online. There's plenty of lots out there. You want to get into that button game, you want to get into those vintage action figures, you buy a lot of them and relist them up. Consider how much you paid for them, and mark it up 50%, and wait for those offers to come in. It's not going to be a quick flip. Sometimes it's going to take some time, and you got to readjust your pricing as the market changes, but definitely there is some arbitrage to be had. So like I said, if you enjoyed today's discussion, go ahead and hit that like button, ring that notification bell, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Still chasing that 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours I need to get monetized. Thank you very much for watching this one to the very end. You helped me get a few of those hours, and we'll be back tomorrow with another vlog. Thanks again. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.